put the work in when it's ready for go time, all right? There's a lot of people outside our building said, nah, that's a bad win tonight. All right? All right? Let's go get another one. All right? Take it on the road, head to Arizona. Proud of you guys, man. All right? That's a great team win tonight. All right? Team win.
Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Title of tonight's episode is Shuffle the Cards. Thank you for joining us for this one. The Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. The electric performance last night, historic, you could say to an extent. Washington wins 38-33. So as we talk about that game, but also going in talking about Arizona, we thought we'd bring in the wizard himself, being about his crystal ball, Mr. Felix Trammell. Thank you for joining us on this fantastic Victory Tuesday, Felix. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I think everyone's on that high from last night. I think it's just magical. I think we've been waiting so long to see something like that, and to see it on that platform was just amazing. So I think we're all feeling good right now.
It's either the high from last night or everyone's lack of sleep. But, either way, Felix, we are feeling great, even given the circumstances. Because we have to talk about the historic night. I mean, Jayden Daniels completing 91% of his passes. We can get into the defense a little bit later, but specifically with Jayden Daniels, is this something that you were seeing in practice at training camp that you're seeing actually translate to the game? And honestly, in my opinion, Felix, it almost seemed like a transformation of Jayden from week 1 to now. I mean, I don't think it's any indictment of the Bengals. I just think that Jayden Daniels took that game over.
Did I see 91%? No. But did I see an electric, transformative NFL quarterback? Yes. I saw that all camp. And I think what happened was that the offense started trusting each other more. And then there was a level Jayden went to in the game. Some guys are practice guys. They do great in practice. Get in the games, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure. I think Jayden embraced that spotlight last night. That was that true moment. I know all eyes are on me. And, I think that should just elevate it to another level. And the in sync with him and Cliff Kingsbury after 3 weeks is amazing, because you can almost see that Jayden was responding to the play call and knew what was going on. So I think it was a combination of all those things, but I think the spotlight, the moment, just elevated to a different level.
And honestly, the way that you said that is perfect, because on that last play, that touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, everyone is jumbled up, and he's just telling them, get over to your side, like obviously in command of that offense altogether, to your point. Sorry.
Yeah, like there was a point where you can see on the cameras, he was down to the sideline. Give me the play. I'm ready for the next play. Like he senses the momentum, and he was trying to drive the team down. So he's not saying that being upset. He's like, come on, give me the play. We're ready. Let's go. And you saw the team just kind of follow that lead, because it came out later. Christian McCaffrey wasn't even on the field. Luke. I'm sorry, Luke wasn't even on the field. He sprints out, doesn't know the play call. Jayden's just telling him something. Mind you, it is 7 seconds in the play clock, and the crowd is loud. It's third and long. Like, that just shows the poise that I saw, and that all of us media saw. We saw this back in April. We saw this back in May. We saw this back in June when there was nobody out there. We saw the poise. So to see it in that big moment, it was like we knew it was coming. But that extent, that level, 2 incompletions, that's big time. I mean, that is just something you don't casually see. I mean, even in practice on 7-on-7s, you don't have 2 incompletions. Like, that's pretty darn good.
Standing in the pocket and taking that blitzer on in his face, and dude, on a dime in the basket. I mean, sorry, Hall.
Yeah, no, everything you just said, both you guys, it was spot on. Like, he was just kind of like a shooter when he's hot. It's just like, keep giving me the ball, keep giving me the ball, to your point where he's like, come on, I'm in the rhythm. Like, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. So definitely last night was like a movie. It was crazy. But sticking on the offensive side of the ball, two guys in particular that have been just critical to this offense. One of them, unfortunately, concussed last night. Hopefully he's back soon. Hopefully everything's good with him. But Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler, a lot of people coming in this offseason said those guys are over the hill, they're washed. And I know a lot of people around here had faith that they had a little bit more juice left in the tank, especially a guy like Austin Eckler who battled injuries last year. Just what have you seen from them throughout the first 3 weeks? And did you expect them to be this big contributors so far?
I expected Ertz about where he was, safety valve, a good, good guy, get everybody situated. But Eckler exceeded my expectations. I knew of his caliber. I talked to some of the guys who cover the Chargers, and they always talk about his work ethic and things of that nature. But seeing that on display was amazing to see. But he vitalizes that offense. His duality of being able to run between the tackles and catch the ball like he does. I mean, it just takes the offense to another level. And you saw the first play last night. It was B-Rob and Eckler in the backfield. As linebackers, what are you doing? Like, am I gearing up for this Brian Robinson run? Is Eckler going to get the swing route going out the thing? And now is Ertz going to sneak behind me? Like, you just saw some of the misdirection from the start with those guys. So I expected Ertz to be valuable in those big moments, and he was on that last drive, converting those big catches. And then Eckler was just such a game changer. So it's gonna hurt not having him. It's looking like he probably won't play Sunday. But even him in the return game. I mean, think of the second half. It's kind of not quite in the balance, but you're like, okay, when is Washington going to come off their high horse? And then he puts them on the 30-yard line.
Yep.
Like, just little stuff like that. So now Jaden doesn't have to drive the field. He's at the 35. Bam, bam, bam. Touchdown. All gas at that point. So Eckler has been vital to that. And it's good to see because he's such a professional. And I think that's something that Adam Peters was attracted to, his professionalism, how he approaches everything. He practiced really hard. So you see it in the game. So I think those two have been great assets for Jaden, just for him navigating his rookie season. So hopefully Eckler's not out that long, and they can grow that offense with him in there.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that we didn't update you on the white sweatshirt. I guess you missed, forgot to send you that memo, Felix. But, speaking of Jaden Daniels' practice habits, I mean, when Noah Brown was brought here, he was working with him after practice, right? Just going to show how Jaden is. But moving forward against Arizona, right now Washington's defense is 26th in the NFL in red zone conversion rate, giving up a touchdown 66% of the time. They are last in the league on third down, 32nd, 61% of the time allowing a first down, and 31st against the pass. This is an electric and high-powered attack coming with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. How can Washington be able to limit Kyler Murray? Or do you have confidence that they'll at least be able to do that like they almost did last night against Joe Burrow? Obviously, they were able to pop off, but limiting him enough for them to win the football game is one thing. But do you think that's possible, and how do they do it?
Well, they have to approach Arizona how you approach Baker Mayfield, because Joe Burrow's movement is different from Kyler Murray's movement. Kyler Murray's going to move a lot like Baker did. That little small quarterback, spin around, and then he's going to Harrison with the big play, and then McBride over the middle. So I think the way you approach that is you got to contain the pocket, and it comes down to our defensive tackles, who I've been very hard on. They have to play better. And what I mean, they don't need, not necessarily the sacks. Get the sacks out your mind. They have to press the pocket back together. Because even times last night, they rushed past Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow steps up, sing. So, yeah, I mean, he's scrambling up to throw. Kyler Murray will scramble up and run. So that becomes the difference. The defensive tackles have to set the tone, and they have to keep Kyler in the pocket. They can't chase the glory. They're going to have to do the dirty work. And that's how you succeed with Kyler Murray. You make him have to. All he does is go straight back and then try to throw long. So that gives you a better chance to double Marvin Harrison. You're going to have to double him. Just take it out your mind. You're going to have to double him. Make somebody else beat you. I'm sorry if the fourth string receiver comes out and has 100 yards, so be it. You cannot let Marvin Harrison Jr. beat you for 2 touchdowns like Jamar Chase did, because you can't expect Jaden Daniels to keep putting up 35, 38 points a game. So by my game plan personally, those tackles have to press the pocket back together. They cannot rush past Kyler Murray, because that's what happened in Tampa Bay. And Baker Mayfield slipped out the front door, had a couple runs, had a couple throws, and next thing you know, they're converting. So there were some flashes of the defense. Like there was a couple of red zone stops where they held them to field goals where you could say, okay, there's something there. But it's too much off. It's too much off man. It's too reactionary. They're going to have to start being a little bit more aggressive. And if that means give up a big play here and there, so be it. But you've got to get off the field.
Yeah, and to your point, right now Arizona in red zone conversion rate, they're 8th, getting a touchdown 66% of the time. And they in points per game, they're 4th, over 27 points per game. On third down, they're 4th at a 45% clip. Sorry, Hall.
No, it's all good. I was actually just thinking about something. And so, like, over the past couple, like, obviously the past regime over the past couple of years, they would always have these slow starts on defense where the first quarter of the season, whatever it might be, big plays galore, communication problems, guys missing tackles. And to the coach's credit, so some of the time, most of the time, they would get it kind of fixed throughout that kind of second stretch of the season, that second third of that season. So my question is, do you think that that's something that this defense could possibly kind of morph into, the kind of the defenses of the past where they kind of struggle early, but as they kind of get going, they kind of gel together and get it going? Or do you think this is more of a personnel problem where they just don't really have the guys right now, and then it just kind of is what it is?
Well, the biggest difference I see between this defense and previous defenses, I don't see as many communication errors. And in the previous, like last year, you would see defenders looking at each other. What's the call? Yelling, what's the call? Only one real schematic issue I've seen, and this was mostly the Tampa Bay game, and the Giants did it to a certain extent, when they would line up in a 3-by-1 set and they would create a natural pick when we were playing off man. Yeah. And that's how Tampa Bay scored 2 of their touchdowns. Neighbors scored a touchdown like that in the second week. Washington actually defended that better last night. Yep. Cincinnati went to a tight stack on one of those red zone attempts, and they were able to stop them and settle for a field goal. So I think right now it's more of Joe Witt trying to figure out what players he can do in what moments, because you saw Joe Burrow as soon as Jamar Chase got one-on-one, they went straight over the top. I mean, it wasn't he didn't even have to look at Chase. As soon as Quan came down, they went right where Quan was supposed to be. And so if you're going to do it, it either has to be disguised better or you don't do it. You just stay up and make Connor beat you on the ground. But this defense has some ways of being better, and I think it's less with the communication stuff. I think they're trying to put the right pieces in the right spot. So you saw Noah played a lot more this past week. You didn't have really the tackling issues. Cincinnati was just open, but they made the tackle. So now they're trying to figure out the pieces, where to go, who goes where, versus some of those issues of the past where it's December and defenders are still yelling, what are we doing here? You cover this. No, that's your guy. You don't really see that. You just kind of see them trying to find where people play. And there's some pieces in there like Luvu. He's a dog, and you got him next to Bobby Wagner, who's a dog, but he's getting near the end. So you have some tackling machines. So you have some pieces that are in there. They just have to figure out where those pieces fit and at what times.
My man. Last question I have for you to wrap this up, Felix. Do you think Cliff Kingsbury's history with Arizona will be able to help Washington defensively in game planning?
Cliff Barry should know Kyler Murray's strengths, and he should know what he struggles with. Now, Is Washington going to be able to do something with that? That's another story. But I know Cliff has understood, and the assignment's been done well. Possess the ball. They won the possession battle last night. I think it was 35-25. The Giants game was close to 40 minutes. That's how you win these games. You possess the ball. I mean, everyone was upset with the Giants game. The first drive was 10 minutes. Like, that is a sixth of the game gone on one drive. So that's a winning formula. But to answer your question, Cliff Berry would know the things that he likes, the looks that Kyler would like, and those things he would go to when he was his quarterback. So that would be able to help Joe Witt in the defense. But different offense, different scheme, but he'll be able to help to a certain degree.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if Cliff or somebody in Arizona was able to slip the new Call of Duty to Kyler the night before. Let's just hopefully we get lucky with that. Felix, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Be able to recap the historic night last night and also looking ahead to Arizona. I know the team traveled there immediately. They didn't stop. They didn't go back to Ashburn except for Austin Eckler with his concussion. But they're in Arizona. Thank you for joining us, brother. Before you get out of here, just like to plug your social media handle just in case anyone watching hasn't followed you yet.
Yeah, follow me on X or bcommander2407, Bless Commander on IG. You can find all my content at 1340 AM Fox Sports, Hopewell, Richmond.
My man, I'm sorry, I forgot to plug that when I called you. I was just so excited to talk about Jaden Daniels.
It's all good. I mean, I think I had 2.5 hours of sleep, but I'm good.
Make sure you go get some rest, Felix. Have a good night, man. I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Y'all have a good one.
You too. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Felix Trammell. Always appreciate Felix's time and being able to come on here and talk to us. Fantastic individual, a great guy that brings a lot to the table. Now we are joined by our next guest, one of our first guests on this show ever. It's been a while. We tried to link it up last week, but the timing, I didn't reach out quick enough for him. But our guy, Mr. Adam Aniba, Banji Report on Twitter. Thank you for joining us, brother. How you doing?
Good, man. It's always a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir. And look, we could talk about Jaden Daniels till the cows come home. You know, we can do all that. We kind of already did a little bit, but the offensive line, in your personal opinion, I saw you post that tweet today of Brandon Coleman. Kind of just talk about the offensive line at this point, because a lot of people, a lot of talking heads were saying that this was one of the biggest issues heading into the season. And thus far, look, obviously Jaden has been pressured. They're giving up some sacks, but it has to be a little bit of a relief, right?
Yeah, you know, the rotation of the left tackles definitely is a little unique for the NFL. On the college level, like you saw this a lot at Louisville with especially when Lamar Jackson was there. They'd even like rotate the guys right and left depending on where the plays would go. I think they're covering up the best they can the shortcomings of the offensive line. So I think by doing that, I think a lot has to do with scheming, the dual backs in the backfield, you know, a lot of the 12 personnel, multiple tight ends. I think Cliff Kingsbury should get a lot of credit. As much Jaden Daniels gets all the credit right now for me as far as the play on the field, you got to execute it. But right now, Cliff Kingsbury, you know, finally this team is playing chess, you know, against these teams. They're playing checkers because, you know, that last play, it was a thing of beauty because, you know, they called cover zero on the first, they got him on that. He overthrew him. The next play, you know, they anticipated that. So that's a trusting relationship right now. And the offensive line plays a key role. Like Wiley, I've been really down on him since they signed him. You know, he was decent. You know, I think he was the fourth rated by PFF out of all the third, even better. So, you know, I think right now, you know, they're keeping it together. It's still a major concern for me because this is a long season. And, you know, you look at the depth and there's really not much depth there that we know about. You know, there's always players that can come out of nowhere. But, you know, as far as name recognition, you know, depth is nothing to speak of. And the starters right now are nothing to speak of. But, you know, Tyler Biadasz, pleasant surprise. I think, you know, you won't hear a ton about him this year, which is a great thing because usually, you know, if you're hearing from the center, you know, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. But I think him and Jaden Daniels connected right away, and it's really shown. And I think the concerns of, you know, getting Terry involved, you know, I think they answered that. But again, you know, we'll talk about it. But, you know, the offensive line, they just have to keep, you know, at this trajectory right now. You know, it has to do with a lot of scheming, you know, a lot of misdirection. I love the counter trays. I liked what I saw. So, you know, I think every week, depending on the opponent, you're going to see something different at a Cliff.
My man. Hey, Adam, I want to respect your time. How much do you have for us tonight?
Oh, I can stay till 9:30 is my latest. Yeah.
My man. I want to get this answer from both of you guys. I'm going to answer it as well in a kind of roundtable format. But I wrote this question down. I wanted to save it for you, Adam. This is the best game since ...
Wow. Honestly, like I really like, I'm sure I'm gonna forget, one somewhere in between, but I really feel like you have to go back to 2012 to feel that energy, that Vikings game with RG3, when he took off on that long, rush for a touchdown. I personally like that's the first thing that comes to mind. Granted, a lot of things going on and I don't even remember, but that's the last time I can feel, especially prime time, there was this kind of excitement. But you're talking about records being broken already. And what I loved hearing on all the morning shows is that you're seeing the evolution of the scrambler and the passer and how dangerous. I think it touched on when Russell Wilson came in the league because he'd scramble and is he going to run, is he going to pass? Lamar Jackson early on, it was more predictable, and he's starting to develop into an excellent passer as well. But I think Jaden Daniels, that extra time, at Arizona, LSU, I think it's showing that with these NIL deals, everything. I'm a huge fan, by the way, that this is going to keep guys in college. And the longer you can keep them in college, I think you're going to get more guys like Jaden Daniels. So I think right now, and I said it coming in, I saw a lot of Randall Cunningham merged between, the Minnesota Randall Cunningham and the Philadelphia Randall Cunningham. And I didn't think I'd see him put it together this quick. But I think he's going to take his lumps, but 3 games, no turnovers, Granted, this is the first game he threw a touchdown, but he accounted for 3 before this. So, I think there's a lot to be excited about. But, the defense, this is where it's going to, this is going to keep them, playing for catch up, I think, for the whole season. But, man, it's just great to have a quarterback. I said to everyone, even putting training camp, to me, as long as he stays healthy, I don't see anything else to stop him. He's too smart and he's just too talented.
And he's got a lot of football under his belt. Right now, the Washington offense in points per game, they're 5th in the NFL at 26.3. I remember the days when getting 20 was something awesome. You know what I'm saying? The fact,
telling me.
dude, it's crazy to see it because it's almost like a dream a little bit. You're like, it's almost reminding you of 2012. I would date it back to the Sean Taylor year and to say this is probably one of the best games since, just because of the build up for it, making the playoffs, that run that we had. Obviously, the easy answer is going to be 2012, but for me personally, just the weight of it all with the new regime, new organization, Adam Peters, Josh Harris being there, Dan, I don't think this is being talked about enough. I think that win for Dan Quinn is a freaking staple for him, man. I mean, to be able to come in with all the changeover that they've had, the first primetime game, and this is the only one that they were really given, and to be able to come out with a performance like that when nobody else picked them, right? And to be able to do, I think that's monumental on so many different levels, on top of the historic statistics, analytics, whatever you have. I saw the one stat. Let me read it up because it's absolutely insane. Just in case anybody on YouTube watching or on podcast hasn't been able to see this, this was tweeted out by Derek Ho, 23. Per Douglas Clawson of CBS, the Commanders have scored on every possession, excluding kneel downs, the past 2 games, which is a $1.7 million feat. Jaden Daniels did this in 2 starts. Tom Brady, Breeze, Peyton, and Mahomes have 2 combined, including playoffs, with over 1,000 starts. In 3 games, he did something those other quarterbacks really couldn't do. It seems too good to be true, but honestly, man, I think this is one of the best games that I have ever seen, personally, for Washington. I've never seen dominance of that caliber. Even in going back to 2012, it really wasn't that kind of dominance. You could say, really, maybe that Cowboys Thanksgiving game, but they ended up coming back in that. But honestly, man, that was a thing of beauty, and it's honestly crazy to see where they are. I mean, I showed my wife the highlights, and she's sitting there saying, "Oh my goodness!" It's nuts, man.
And I gotta walk away. Get a little excited about McCaffrey too, because man, he's fast. You see him in training camp, seeing this, but man, in that open field, man, I was impressed, and I think you have a valuable slot guy right now because other than Terry, it's a bunch of guys, I include that with De'Ami Brown because I still think he's limited. But man, I think you walk away just happy that right away is 3 rookies, including your offensive lineman that you're flashing right away. You're lucky to have one, regardless of whatever round they're drafted every especially in the first couple of games. But to have 3 that are flashing, I think that's a good omen.
I know Diami, whenever if he ever sees Geno Stone walking on the other side of the street, I'm sure he's going to cross it. I'm not crossing that guy again.
He laid him out on that.
Dude,
but kudos to him for holding on to the ball because he definitely got rocked.
Yeah, he did. And last night also, dude, the offensive line was also dominant. I mean, with what they were able to do. Brandon Coleman tossing around Hendrickson. Obviously, him and Allegretti gave up a sack later on. But, dude, they were moving. They were mowing guys over. That was really cool to see. What about you, Hall? What would you say this is the best game since?
Yeah, I just had to look it up because maybe it's just, and I probably, like Adam said, I probably missed some in between because I'm going to go back to 2016, Sunday Night Football. Kirk Cousins was the quarterback at the time. Jay Gruden's the coach.
Packers?
Yep, the Packers game.
You were at that game.
Yeah, I was at that. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe because I was at that game and it was just like from start to finish, it was just like Washington was just on that ass against Green Bay.
Can I give context to this?
Yeah.
He went with 2 of our friends that were huge Packers fans, and we had a show called the Sports Drunkies, and so we would do game predictions. And so they were there. They did a video, and the 2 Packers fans, they're saying, "We're gonna clobber you guys. We're gonna destroy the Redskins tonight. You guys have nothing in the store for us." And during the game, Hall releases a video in the stands, and he's doing the Ric Flair woo as all of these Packers fans.
It was like Packers fans going by. I'm like woo, like in their face. They're just like. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Lady
like
minding
Kirk
her
Cousins,
business and Hall's.
Yeah, the old lady was like, she was actually kind of. I felt bad. She was probably crying for like some other reason, not because they were like getting crushed. But I had to crush her soul even more. I apologize for that. If you ever see this lady, but I was just saying like Kirk Cousins 3 touchdowns through the air, 375. Fat Rob, shout out to him, 3 touchdowns that game as well. So it was just like an all around just beat down against Green Bay and. Like I said, maybe because I was there, it just was like just felt bigger than that. But I just remember the crowd going crazy. It was Sunday Night Football. It was prime time, and it was just an all-around ass whooping.
Yes, that is true. Now let's get into our fan questions to wrap up this episode, boys. This one, Adam, was submitted by the Colonel. Thank you, Colonel. Cliff Kingsbury definitely silenced the critics complaining of Jaden Daniels not airing it out. This was definitely JD's coming out party and was thrilling to see his chemistry with Scary Terry. Is there another rookie even close to JD being Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Well, right now, no. But I think that's the point. It's just so early. Like we're at the point in the season where in 10 weeks right now, some undrafted guy could be, the most impressive rookie in the linebacker who we know. But right now he's on the right trajectory. And I think Arizona, if you talk about another really good performance from JD, I think, he's right now he's the favorite, but to me, I think you got to at least have another game. And I think at that point, I think he'll be the favorite if he really shows in Arizona. But that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Absolutely. Cliff Kingsbury's reunion with Kyler, I'm sure they're going to have a warm reception. Colonel, this is a really good question. It is early. We're only 3 games in, 13 more games to go. But obviously, JD, I would say, is the overwhelming favorite at this point. But I don't think Malik Neighbors is that far behind. Like he is, and just given the politics of the situation, him being in New York, the NFL loves New York players. They've been needing that Odell kind of figure back in New York, and he is really performing at a high level. And I don't think he's that far behind. I'm sure that rivalry between Jaden and Malik is something that's going to be ongoing the entire season and their entire career. But obviously, usually it goes to the quarterback, but I wouldn't rule out the politics of New York.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely, I would say Jaden Daniels is the betting favorite up to this point, early 3 weeks in. But Malik Neighbors, I would say, is right behind him just because based off the performance the past 2 weeks. And he's opening up that offense that everyone thought was going to be one of the worst in the NFL. He's opening up that offense through the passing game to make running lanes for a guy like Devin Singletary or Daniel Jones. So he's definitely having a great season as well. And then I would say if Marvin Harrison Jr. continues on the trajectory that he's on, he might creep into that conversation. I would say that based on 3 weeks of football, he might go off against us. So just doing that against us, that might creep him into the conversation as well. So I would say those 3 names, but I would definitely say Jaden is not by far, but definitely hands down the betting favorite 3 weeks now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to say that. Now, the next question from the Colonel, Adam. What do you think is more likely, Kamala Harris winning the election or the Washington Commanders winning the NFC East? I don't know.
I'm going to say this, and I'll make it clear. Everyone that knows me on Twitter knows I hate politics. I worked in D.C. I worked for a lobbying company briefly. So I've seen the real side of it, and it's all bullshit. Okay, so, but the bottom line is, after you have Taylor Swift, after you have all these people backing somebody, it's the Hollywood show is just rolled on. And so I think it's probably more likely that, she wins the presidency. And I say just because of that. But man, anything could happen. I think the NFC East, I think if you look at it right now, Washington has the firepower. See, they can have a good defense in years past, but that only got them so far. But I think if you have the firepower to go toe to toe with with Philadelphia and Dallas, I think you have a real shot. So, with the expanded playoffs, 17 games, it's a good chance, but I think it's more likely that, she gets the presidency. And again, not preference, not opinion, just I think this is all the stars are pointing to it. And I just think we live in a Hollywood society, and that's where we're going towards.
What you're saying is that you're endorsing Kamala Harris.
No, sir.
If Reed was on here, he'd be turning red and bursting at the seams. Honestly, I'm not being a homer about this. I do think it's the Commanders winning the NFC East. I don't think the wheels falling off of Philly is that far away, especially the way they came out against the Saints. I've been calling it all offseason. I think the Cowboys and especially the Eagles, they are very close to having to be in a situation where they're blowing things up. And so I don't think it's that out of the realm of possibility. I think the Ravens they're a very good football team. They're going to go far into the playoffs, of course. They're well built. But what we kind of saw there with going against Dallas is kind of showing the blueprint of what you could do against Dallas. And I think the matchup this weekend for the Cowboys is going to be difficult for them. So I honestly, I believe that with what is going on in Washington, where if it is going to be where our defense is taking more so of the identity of let's get off the field and give our offense more chances, then we're in a very, very good position to win the NFC East. I don't think it's crazy or asinine to say that at this point. I think that what we have seen thus far, you can have confidence in saying that. And I'm all for it, baby. Let's kick the tires.
Yeah, this is actually a harder question than you think it is. But I will say, just because I hate politics, like Adam said.
No, you don't.
I will go with Washington winning the NFC East, only because not that I think that they're going to just keep going on without games without punting and Trustway's never going to see the field ever again. Not because I think they're going to score 30 plus, 35 plus points a game, but because kind of what Felix said earlier when we had him on, that I do think that they're going to keep converting third downs in a high clip. I do think that they're going to keep being aggressive on fourth downs and different situations at the football field and the game. I do think that time of possession is going to play a key for this team. And I do think that while the defense is probably not going to get much marginally better, I do think that sometimes the best having a good or great offense is your best defense, because if you're putting points on the board, all you're doing is putting more pressure on the other team to kind of keep up and keep chase with you on the scoreboard. So if that's the route they're going to go with it, then so be it. But I could definitely see. And I said coming into the season that if everything goes right, breaks right, Jaden is who we think he is, that this is maybe like a 9 or 10 win team. And with the way that the rest of the teams in the East are looking right now, I don't see anyone really running away with this division as of right now. So maybe Philly turns it on. They go on a streak again like they did last year. Maybe Dallas will get it together. Who knows? But as of right now, I see it kind of like a neck and neck thing. And I can see it coming down to that week 17, week 18, one of our games gets flexed to prime time for the division type of season. So hopefully everything keeps trending up. We'll see.
Yeah, we call that a Reed weekend, going neck and neck. Adam, this next question we have submitted in the Discord is from our guy, Big Tony Shivers, and this is a fantastic question. Jaden and Terry are rightfully getting praise today, but who is an under-the-radar player who played a key game? I feel like Ertz always comes up with clutch catches.
Definitely, yeah. Ertz is a good one. I would definitely say that. But again, I brought him up before, but Wiley, Wiley had a solid game, and I think there was a lot of pressure coming from that side particularly. So, I think that he's got to get a lot of credit. That block McNichols made, that could have changed everything. Because I think if you had two men coming at Jaden, I was saying it earlier, 90% of the quarterbacks, not just in the NFL and football, are going to fade away on that pass. And that's going to take off the trajectory. And you're not going to drop it in the bucket like he did. And then to have that second rusher coming up the middle. So if McNichols doesn't stop him, we could be talking about Jaden with a concussion today. You know what I mean? So it's guys playing key roles, but I'm looking for Ben Sinnott. I wrote about him pre-draft, and I think give that guy some time, because if you just look at his history, walk on KSU, once he gets acclimated, having a guy like Ertz in front of him. Don't get me wrong, I love Ertz. Bates has his role, but Ertz, he's not a guy that you're going to count on to play, all 17 games. So it's a matter of time before we see a guy like Ben Sinnott, and I think that's the guy to look for, because I think once he can get a connection with Jaden, I think that was one thing that Jaden is not used to during his college career, is having, that breakaway tight end. And I think, Sinat's that guy.
That's fantastic. And if you guys don't know, Aniba and I, for the past 2 years, we've done a pre-draft show with Deuce from Red Zone in the Lab. And when we did our tight end rankings, Adam and I were in lockstep with these tight ends, saying that Ben Sinnott was the number 2 tight end in the draft class. And so we were ecstatic to be able to get him here. And obviously they agreed with us, and he had a fantastic game himself last night. If I had somebody to say that was under the radar type of player that really performed well, I do think that Brandon Coleman deserves that kind of hat tip himself. Also with Cornelius Lucas, I think they've done a good job at this far trying to keep Jaden Daniels upright. But honestly, if I'm going to I'll probably say Javonte Jean-Baptiste, being able to come down with that sack. Like Adam and we talked about Amarius Mims in the pre-draft process and saying that he was not ready for the NFL. He was so raw, and you kind of saw that last night. Where Javonte, who is a 7th-round pick, what round was Amarius taken? What, 3rd, 4th round?
No, he was first.
He was first round?
No, he went late first, right?
Was it?
Yeah, I think he was.
No, you're right. It was
like 18th.
It was late
overall,
first.
something like that.
And he goes right around him for that sack, dude. I mean, just absolutely just massacred him on that pass rep. But just going to show you, I think that Javonte deserves that hat tip for his performance last night. I know he put on Twitter that that game was for his grandma. I'm not sure if he lost her recently, which rest in peace to her. Of course, God bless you, Javonte. But I think Javonte deserves that hat tip. He performed well last night.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'll say Cameron Taylor-Britt, because calling it a college offense, lighting the fire under everybody's butt. Nah, but
did you see Zach Taylor? Whatever his name is.
Zach Ertz, yeah, talking to Kay Adams.
No. The head coach of the Bengals, he had a presser.
Oh, Zach Taylor, yeah. He said that's not what we do around here.
Yeah, dude, he's kind of pissed about it.
I mean, yeah, and they're 0-3.
He said you're getting bullet material, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be pissed too if you're 0-3 just got embarrassed on national TV by a startup organization. But who's under? I would say I'm gonna stick with the offensive line. Honestly, I'm just gonna say Sam Cosmi. Like, if you just go back and look at some of the clips that people are posting on Twitter, and if you were just watching the O-line last night, they were getting movement all throughout the night. Sam Cosmi was pancaking dudes like he normally does, driving dudes into the ground. I seen Hoffman posted that one clip where he was like a little bit above the RPO line where they give you that little gray area, and he realized Jaden was going to throw, and he did a little backwards roll, like
that was
little
48.
like ninja.
You gotta get that ineligible.
Oh, 48, yeah. One of them posted it, but he did like a little ninja backwards roll and got back to the area just to make sure he was good, just to have the instincts and the awareness of that, like high IQ, high football IQ. So yeah, I'll just say keep it with the theme, the offensive line. Sam Cosmi was a dog last night.
We'll just gloss over the fact you're saying that all white people look alike. We don't need to bring it up. Adam, this next question was submitted by Tim Towner, which goes into one of the players that you brought up. I hope Eckler is fine and can play. But if not, and another running back needs to be called up from the practice squad, do you think they would bring up Wiley or C-Rod, and would you make the same move?
Potentially, but I think that they're going to change it up now, because I think the dual back sets, I'm not sure that that's going to play into the strength with what McNichols does. I think with Eckler, he played off of him perfectly, so I think that we're just going to see a healthy dose of B-Rob. So, yeah, they'll elevate somebody. I don't think they'll go outside. They'll probably just elevate somebody. But McNichols will be the backup. I don't think he'll really see any, he could be a decoy out there, whatever. But I think against Arizona, I expect them, B-Rob, to really get a healthy dose. And I think the offense is going to look different. I think that they're going to follow more of that Tampa Bay week one. I think they're going to try to take away everything long, give him everything in the middle, give him the check downs, the screens. So it's going to be a more ground and pound. I don't think, and then, they'll get a point and they'll be able to open it up. But I think it'll look far different. But I wouldn't put too much into who to elevate. I don't even think McNichols is going to see that many reps.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet, if I had to guess, I would be willing to bet that we're going to see Luke McCaffrey in the backfield a little bit more in this game.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, and then being able to use Diami more so in the wide receiver sets. And I wouldn't be surprised to see if they did call up C-Rod as the backup, as the third backup, just because of what he showed pass catching in the preseason with his one-handed grabs. Did a great job. Good pass protector at times, but is also a hard runner. So just in case you do need that, I wouldn't be surprised to see C-Rod get called up. But obviously, Wiley offers you a little bit more of the electricity, the speed aspect of it, and maybe on that turf, that's something that Cliff Kingsbury knows very well of, knowing how to capitalize on. So that's always a possibility. But if it was me, I'm guessing it would be C-Rod, and we're going to be seeing Luke McCaffrey in the backfield a little bit more. What about you, Hall?
Also keep this in mind. I think it might be a little too early for Senate too, but fullback in college, fullback flex guy. And, I love seeing that side I formation. I've seen that in college a bunch, but having that side I formation away from Jaden Daniels, that's cool stuff right there. And I could definitely see, them slowly employing, Ertz, Senate, because that's an ideal spot, because exactly, you need a guy who can block, you need a guy who can catch and run if needed. And I think, hand the ball off to one of those. We saw already the pass to the lineman for a touchdown. So I think we're going to see more things. Each week, I think Kingsbury is going to be opening up more and more. We're going to see stuff like that.
Wouldn't be surprised to see that. If I'm not mistaken, I think Colson Yankoff lined up at fullback against the Giants. If not one,
I think
snap,
he did have
a
snap.
handful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. I was going to be. I think we're going to. I mean, if they do call someone up, I mean, I think it would be Wiley, just because, like you said, Kyle, he gives you a little bit more explosion out the backfield. I think he's a little bit better from what I saw in preseason in pass pro than C-Rod right now. And I feel like C-Rod, he kind of gives off that like thumper, kind of like big body kind of guy, and they already have that in B-Rob. Maybe they want to keep in that kind of that shifty, kind of more explosive realm of back with McNichols. So I would say that maybe it'll be Wiley, but to you guys' point, I think we're going to see more exotic formations out of the pistol. I think we're going to see a lot more spread stuff, and then kind of try to run it out of the spread a little bit more. So I do think that they might call up Wiley, but to you guys' point, I think it's going to be a heavy dose of B-Rob with maybe a little bit of McNichols sprinkled in here and there.
Oh, sprinkled a little McNichol. I like it. Now the next question from Tim Towner Hall. He says, I'm not going to kid myself. We still have a long way to go. That said, who earned more snaps and who earned fewer?
I mean, we're not going to Super Bowl after this win?
I know, right?
I would say
easy one for me.
More snaps. I would just say Coleman, honestly. Like, I know him and Lucas were pretty much even on reps in this last game, and then if you just been following like his reps throughout when they started playing him, it's just gotten more and more each week. So I definitely think that by like week 5, I say after this game, maybe during this game, it might be this week. But Lucas has been playing well as too, so I think they're gonna just keep kind of swapping them out until one of them kind of just really takes it over. But I would say that Coleman deserves, if they're gonna have, let's call it 68 snaps in a game, I'd say that I'd give Coleman at the left tackle 40 plus of those, and give Lucas the rest of them.
Ridiculous. This is an easy one for me, Tim, and it's a fantastic question. For me personally, I loved him after we took him in the draft. Was able to watch him a little bit. It's Johnny Newton. Seeing his energy, him running down that pass to the outside, That's the kind of energy you need
That was
to
like
bring.
14 yards downfield. That was crazy.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's a fast boy, dude, and that's what the funny thing was. Is after we drafted him, Chris Cooley said the one weakness he could see of him was not having the energy all the time running sideline to sideline. I'm like, I don't see that, to be honest. Like, I think that injury obviously played a huge part, Adam, but just saying that, especially with the screen game and how that has killed us, like that killed us against the Bucks a little bit. Obviously on those third downs, we did a better job against New York and against the Bengals in this game. I think somebody like Johnny Newton showing that ability to have the speed to get outside is going to be massive against Kyler Murray in this offense, where they do like to do that, because right now they are 17th in passing yards, obviously 9th in rushing yards. So I think it's much more so of that same similar offense where it's going to be horizontal, and somebody like Johnny Newton, I think, has proved that he's ready to go, and you need some more juice there on the D-line.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. I was going to mention a little bit about both, but Noah Brown, man, I like what all the receivers are doing, but I particularly like, other than what Terry's doing, he's opening up the field. I think, isn't just last night, it was even the last game, he has a knack for just open things up and, beating coverage. So I think if you can have him involved more, reverses, just different plays. I think that, the more you have him on the field, the better, because, after we picked him up, I watched, some of his, his career games, and man, I just walked away really impressed, especially, he had his best season. It wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. But I think he's a guy that under the radar, I think that he's a special player that they got. I don't think that, he's just a guy one and done and, be for us for a couple games. I think, this is a guy that can potentially be that number two that, that they really need. So I definitely think, he deserves more, deserves less. Again, before this week, I would have been ready to say Wiley maybe, but, I think, he showed enough, but maybe, not that Lucas is not playing well, but I would just say less for Lucas. I like him more in the swing tackle role right now. I'd rather just see Coleman, being the full-time left tackle, let him take his lumps, see how it goes, because, I'm not coaching. So of course they know better than me, but anyone I've talked to about it, when I brought it up, it's never a good thing to not get, consistent playing time and have to come in and out like that. It's just, it's not good for linemen, especially.
My man. And one thing I am concerned about ahead of this matchup is, I love him to death, but Bobby Wagner is a little bit just a step behind here or there. And with Kyler Murray and his running ability, that middle of the field might be an issue in this game. I know that. Yes. I know Felix earlier had talked about bracketing Marvin Harrison. I'm much less worried about bracketing Marvin Harrison. I'm much more concerned about having a quarterback spy on Kyler Murray and having somebody be able to trail him around that field just in case that does rear its ugly head. Now, the next question that we have, this one is from Deluxe Adam. What are the advantages of Well, actually, no, before we get into this, I just wanted to ask you, because you were huge in Mikey Sanders-Still in that pre-draft process that we did. One. He played outside corner last night. I know he gave up that big pass to Jamar Chase, but I absolutely love this move. I think that we should have had more speed on the outside, and that's what Mikey brings to you. How did you think he looked in his first game at outside corner?
Again, it's Jamar Chase, so you have to take that with with a grain of salt. I like him in a slot role, but from what they have, I see no reason to put him on the outside, because I just don't think what they have is good enough. So if you're going to take your lumps and you're going to get beat, I'd rather have it with Sanders-Still, because he's going to hustle on every play. I think with them it's a talent issue. With him, it's just getting acclimated and just getting experience. So again, I'd rather just have him out in there, but ideally his best role is in the slot. But I think right now they just have to put their best players where they need them.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And especially you saw that in the run game where he gave up that leverage outside to the running backs. He just feels comfortable feeling like there's somebody else next to him, and he's got to understand you're the last one there, Mikey. Got to make sure you don't let him get to the sideline. But Adam, the next question from Deluxe, what are the advantages of traveling directly to Arizona, especially after a big win?
I don't know if there is an advantage to going to us. I think, you're going to, it was like 105 degrees, I think it was today was the high there.
108.
Getting used to that dry heat, the flight, I don't see it as an advantage. I think, they could be hype up on adrenaline. Maybe that's a good thing, that the adrenaline could, maybe get them, through the week. But I don't really see it as a good thing. I don't like these quick turnarounds, especially going out west. If it's a quick turnaround, you're just going south or north a little bit, a couple hours, fine. But these out west trips in a short week, yeah, I'm not a fan.
Me personally, I do find an advantage in it. And the advantage that I do see in it is that you're not having to go home, and it's similar to what, like with training camp when they had them at a resort for a little while where the guys are together, right? They're experiencing this big win together. It's kind of
That's
creating that
true.
camaraderie. But it's also, you're not fluffing your head up by, like, with family members, with friends blowing you up saying, dude, that was so awesome, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not surrounded by that. It's not getting to your head as much. And so it's much more so of continuing to keep your eye on the ball. So if there is an advantage, I would say it's definitely that one. I know the Commanders are going to Arizona State. So Jaden Daniels reached back into his pocket to
Yeah.
help with this team to be able to get them there to work out for the weekend. Obviously, Jaden Daniels knowing the way around is obviously a huge benefit in itself.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing you said. I think Dan Quinn kind of hit on it when he was talking to the media earlier, where it's more of like you don't want to have to go back to the DMV, stay here for like a day or two, hop back on a plane again, and go right back out to the West Coast.
Right.
Like Adam said, you're already out there getting acclimated to like the dry heat and kind of like the temperatures, and kind of like you're practicing out in the heat, so you're already gonna be kind of game time ready for that type of situation. And like you said, like Dan Quinn said, it's more of like a bonding thing. It's more of like a just hanging out with the guys, kind of just celebrating the win, but also like you said, not getting too. I think he said riding the roller coaster of like, oh, all your friends hyping you up, your family hyping you up, and kind of just like letting your shoulders down and being like, oh yeah, like
Right.
okay, we're good now. It's more of like this is still a business trip. We still got business to handle. Let's come out here and get right back to it instead of okay, let's relax a little bit. Let's let our foot off the pedal. No, let's keep foot on the gas, keep going forward. Let's get the 3-1. So I like it. So I mean, either way, I would have been fine with it. But I do like that they're kind of like a kind of having like a college style type of team where college style type of offense.
Why?
But
Why?
like they're all about like the bonding and like hanging out and like spending time together, the brotherhood of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Come on, Cam.
and they're practicing at Arizona State. I mean, I don't know.
I will say I love this coaching staff so much. I didn't even listen to that presser from earlier today. I actually had it earmarked because I was at Cash's swim lesson. Obviously couldn't listen to it there, but I didn't even listen to it, and I wholeheartedly agree with Dan Quinn. I do know that Dan Quinn covets in how everything is structured. Like he talked about this Monday night game where they had to rearrange the practice schedule to make sure that everything kind of gelled with the Monday night, so they were playing their best football then. So like they were mimicking the same week. They were just mimicking or changing around a little bit what times the practices were to kind of get in the days in order to make it match up like a normal everyday week, but just one day delayed. And so for this allows Washington to be there on Tuesday, have that what's it called? Honest Tuesday it would be, because it's Honest Mondays. So it'd be Honest Tuesday, and then they get into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's not like they have to get ready for a plane ride, changing it up at all. It's just like a normal play week, and I would say that's probably one advantage. Last question that we have, Adam. This one's from Deluxe. Are you getting messages from all your non-Commander fan friends and family like I am?
No, not really. More just I do get messages, but more just about exciting, not like
Yeah.
the opposing fans. I know they're quiet because all the opposing fans that I'm friends with, I talked to, they all were saying, that it was just going to be Caleb, and it was going to be, even the kid from I'm blanking from Michigan got picked up the
JJ.
Vikings. JJ, yeah. They're going to be better. And, pre-draft, I stay medium on a lot of players, but, the three guys I wrote about, Jaden Daniels, Sandstrill, and Senate ended with Washington. Those were three guys out of my evaluation that I was just really high with. And Jaden Daniels, before I watched this film, I was honestly like, yeah, another running quarterback that, has some accuracy. But, after really watching what he can do and thinking, with the Kingsbury type offensive mind, because he's not a good head coach whatsoever. But as an offensive coordinator, I've been watching since Texas Tech. What he's done with players is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
So I think when you have a guy that's a film room junkie like him, and a guy like Kingsbury that's a mad scientist, I really think we have something here. And I was just hoping it was going to click early. But one thing we didn't get to talk about was Witt. That's my concern right now as a coach. I like these coaches, but I only like him as far as his decisions go. And the way he's playing this lineup right now with this many points given up, I want to see some changes. And I'm really hoping that we're going to see him mix things up and not just continue with the same lineup, because I think that, if it was the other side of the ball, we'd be talking about, this offensive line needs to sit after getting up 3 sacks or whatever. The way this defense have played is just horrible. And, a guy like John Allen, I think you'd be naive to not think he's on the trading block, because I think that, his contract's very trader friendly. And, Newton is a guy that I think needs more time, that we need to see him on the field more. And that's going to come at the cost at one of them. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, because honestly, I don't mingle with the enemy, right? Like, I have Commanders friends. That's it. That's all I have. So I was definitely getting texts from buddies about that game last night, and my buddy Donnie hit me up saying, he was sweating before that game. He was very concerned, and I told him, I was like, I wasn't feeling that way at all ahead of that matchup. With that last drive against the Giants, I wholeheartedly was expecting for this offense to come out humming, and they definitely did. So I was not concerned about it all that much, because honestly, in my opinion, this season is not based on wins and losses. This season is based on building a football team and getting the guys up and running, and actually having a nucleus, building an actual, not just a collection of individuals, but an actual football team. And you kind of saw that against the Giants, that final drive, where they're kind of realizing as one, oh, this is something that's here, And so for me personally, not that many, but the ones that did, it was like Adam, total excitement, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get any text from like opposing like other teams fans or anything like that, but I did see like a couple other like Commanders fans did like message me and text me and talk about the game, and were like, "Oh, that was crazy." Da, 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 da. But I did see like other people like of other teams, a lot of Eagles fans, a lot of other teams fans talking about like, "Oh, Commanders, by the time they finally got a quarterback, and like Commanders finally they might have got them one." So he definitely put the other 31 on notice.
Yeah. When I was walking off the job site to go pay for my parking, coworkers drove on, and they pulled in facing me, and I had my Commanders sweaty on. And so when they pulled in, I was like, I was flashing that thing. I was like, "Did you see the boy last night? Tell me you saw the boy." And they were like, "Dude, that kid he can play, man." And I'm glad that he's here. Adam,
he's going to be the hot player that he's going to be the jersey in a couple weeks that every non-football fan are going to be having. He's going to be the one.
Absolutely. Adam, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. I know it hasn't been the best of years, but, we love you, brother. You're one of the first guests on this show. I know the community loves you, and they'll continue supporting you, and I hope that they really, truly do. I want to be able to get you back on here because, dude, your knowledge, your intellect, and are on point with a lot of your stuff, and, you and I think alike in that regard. It's been a pleasure, sir, to see you in your journey. You keep humming, dude. You keep doing your thing. Keep working your ass off. My son and I, we keep praying every night. We love you, man. I can't thank you enough for joining us, and especially on this celebratory Victory Tuesday, man. It was truly a pleasure, brother.
It's definitely a pleasure. And again, like you said, we know each other a long time going back, and I've got more support, honestly, from guys like you on social media than I have from my own family and friends. So, it's not just a thank you. It's a heartfelt thank you. Doing a show like this, I think I took it for granted in years past because, losing my wife, it really just makes you question how much you want to keep doing this and go along. But my wife's the reason I do this. She's the one, I met her when I was in college. She put me into this, got me into this, built my confidence, and I'm getting my confidence back. But, just coming in, chopping it up and talking, it helps me a lot. So definitely appreciate it, guys.
Of course, Adam.
Definitely, bro.
Well, you'll always have a home here, man. Whenever you got time, I know it's you got work, you got to take care of your 2 daughters. So whenever you got time, you got a home here, brother. That's
always make time for you guys,
my man. Everybody, enjoy this Victory Tuesday. Have a great week. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. If you made it this far, you're a freaking champion. Hall, thank you for wearing a white sweatshirt. I appreciate you for copying me tonight. We will see you guys again on Sunday.
Throwback Burgundy Zone merch.
Yeah. That was our first ones, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys again on Sunday night after the game, going against the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you tune in here for the best post-game reaction show that there is around. Your champion made it this far. We appreciate everyone for your fan submissions. We appreciate Adam and Felix for taking some time out for us.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
Kyle.
I'm Ho.
And we'll see you guys again on Sunday. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.